There is supposed to be sound, I apologize. Oh, there it is. Hello, welcome, and thank you for coming. My name is Amaris Shettlesworth, and today I will be speaking on the facts, history, and the constant battle with discrimination and racism in today's society. 90% of this presentation will be about the discrimination against African Americans, but I do not want to give the impression that I'm overlooking the prejudice against other ethnic groups. Just in recent days, the discrimination against African Americans and the discrimination against other ethnic groups are disproportionate. There once was a movie called A Time to Kill. In this movie, a little black girl was raped, beaten, hung, and left for dead by two white men. In the movie, in the time period that the movie was set, the two white men's lives were worth more than the little black girl's, so they were going to walk away without any charge. The father, obviously outraged, shot the men. The lawyer of the father looked at the jury and asked them to close their eyes. He said, "What if the girl was white? Would you care if she was raped, beaten, and hung, left for dead on the side of the road just trying to take groceries home?" How sad to think that the color of one's skin can determine their worth. I ask you to do something similar with me. Please close your eyes. Imagine if you woke up a different race. If you're white, what if you woke up black, Hispanic, or Asian? Would you be worried that someone would treat you differently? Or that you'd be looked down upon in society? Or if you were one of these ethnic groups and you woke up white, would you be relieved, thinking that maybe people would look at you better? You can open your eyes. Were you worried or were you relieved? The reality to the issue is that some people don't see it as an issue at all. 66% of African Americans and 64% of Hispanics see racism as a huge issue in today's society. But 44% of Caucasians don't see it as an issue at all. Why? Circumstances. Caucasians are rarely thrust into racist circumstances, and if they are, it is most likely not directed towards them. If it does not directly tie into their reality, and it does not directly affect them, then it doesn't really matter to them. But sadly, not everyone has this luxury. Racism still exists worldwide. It permeates through every country, every state, and every neighborhood. The root of racism is our sinful nature, plain and simple. The moment Adam and Eve took a bite of that forbidden fruit was the moment they doomed humanity to peril and pain. The seed of "I think I'm better than you" was planted when envy took over the heart of Cain when he killed his own brother. That thought has stuck with man through years, decades, and centuries and has yet to die out. Since before the 1400s, there has been degrading of our fellow man. On January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation stating that all slaves shall be thenceforth and forever free. After this profound statement, one would think that that would be the end of prejudice, but it wasn't. That was just the end of slavery, not the thought behind it. During a heightened time in 1965, the Voting Rights Act passed, bringing some equality between the white and black community. But before that, racism existed in everyone's everyday life. Public transportation, restaurants, lavatories, even drinking fountains were segregated, and any attempt by blacks to use the whites was denied, sometimes very violently. What really began the attempt to end racism was the Civil Rights Movement. The beginning of the Civil Rights Movement goes back to Emmett Till. He was a black teen who was beaten and strangled to death by a group of white men for supposedly whistling at a white woman. He was 14 when he died. His mother decided to have an open casket funeral to show the world what those men did to her little boy. This sparked an awakening in the black community, a chain reaction that began, and the next was infamous Rosa Parks. She stood up, or rather sat down, for what she believed in. Rosa Louise Macaulay Parks is considered to be the first lady of civil rights and the mother of the freedom movement. It is well known that blacks used to be forced to sit in the back of the buses. And on December 1st, 1955, she was exactly in her place. But she was still being forced to give up her seat to an overprivileged white person. But that day, she was too tired of walking and too tired of being walked on. so she sat down. This simple act of injustice became an important symbol for the civil rights movement. The movement really peaked when Martin Luther King Jr. got behind the idea that all men are created equal. He did some promoting, some protesting, but what really shook the world and planted him firmly in the civil rights movement was his speech, "I Have a Dream." This society-changing speech was given in public in front of 250,000 people. On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther told everyone about his dream, that one day we will live in a society where others won't be judged on their color, but the content of their character. What a sad commentary to think that that used to be the dream of millions and is still the dream of too many today, to be equal to your brothers and sisters. Taking a trip back to 1966, the scene, Virginia, the theme, love. And who can put a lease on love? Discrimination. Mildred and Richard Loving were committing the crime of being married. She was black while he was white, and one can imagine how people reacted back then when just a couple years ago people were still turning heads at interracial couples. Virginia at that time had a law that strictly prohibited interracial marriages, and the couple was constantly faced with losing their home and their jobs for just being in love at the wrong time period. Some years ago, there was a Cheerio commercial that also starred an interracial couple, a black father, a white mother, and a little mixed girl. It was an innocent commercial, not looking to start any chaos, but alas, it did. I remember listening to the news, astonished at the fact that people were disgusted that there was an interracial couple on TV. Rude comments after rude comments started piling up on YouTube against the family. Cheerio defended their choice behind using a mixed couple, and they were definitely not ashamed of it. No one should be. 39 hours, 2,714 miles away from our little city, a church was shot up in the name of hate and discrimination. A church, a place of worship, love, peace, was entered, and 33 souls were killed by Dylan Roof. He was only 22 when he did that, and he did not feel 1 ounce of shame or guilt. He even admitted so. In an interview I saw on a Snapchat article about the incident, he wrote on how he wants people to continue his work and to carry his message of hate. Even closer, in Portland, Oregon, a man and his girlfriend are being investigated for killing a teen named Larnell Bruce. Russell and his girlfriend Colleen both pleaded not guilty to the first and second degree charges against him, of murder against him. When investigating into Russell's intentions, they discovered clear ties to a white supremacist gang. Eyewitnesses put Russell as the last person to see the 19-year-old alive. It was discovered that the two had gotten into an argument and that it turned physical. The couple will not admit if they took the young man's life, but whether they took it or just threatened it, the argument began because one did not like the color of another's skin. These racist outbursts don't just happen in other people's lives, in other people's countries and states. It happens in our neighborhood, right outside our doors. Like mentioned previously, blacks are not going to be the only ethnicity I touch base on today. And yes, people doing racist acts are usually reported as being white, but that is not always the case. In Chicago, 4 black people were charged with a hate crime. There is a video on Facebook Live that showed the 4 beating and taunting and forcing a mentally disabled man to do unmentionable things. This cruel and unnecessary assault went on for hours before the police looked into it. The people jailed can be heard screaming profanities at the 18-year-old, who was singled out because he was special. One of the assaulters was a classmate of the victim and was holding him captive for a very short while. When listening to the news, I heard a grotesque story about how malicious people were wrapping bacon around Sikh door handles. Sikhs, the traditional ones, do not eat the meat, and they consider pigs to be a filthy animal, and they are forbidden to touch or eat it. Even closer, in Los Angeles, the police received letters threatening Muslims. The same letter was sent to the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, addressed the children of Satan. It definitely raised concerns. The letter said, he's going to cleanse America and make it shine again, and he's going to start with you Muslims. He's going to cleanse America like there's some sort of disease or virus. He's going to do to you Muslims what Hitler did to the Jews. The fact that some horde of despicable people want to repeat the acts that Hitler did to the Jews is not only horrific and disgusting, but 100% disappointing. The officers who received the letter are obviously trying to put a stop to it, but it definitely sparked something within the community. A hateful act can be as simple as writing an inappropriate racist word somewhere visible. And in our community, near Yuba College, racist writing was written on the wall of a new development. Some of the things written included KKK and kill all blacks. The Yuba County officials had soon removed it and said that there are no signs that the Ku Klux Klan are forming in Yuba County. But even if that is true, just the words struck fear into the blacks in our community. Corinthia French is one black who unfortunately saw the hateful words. She has experienced racism in her life and has even taken her son out of Wheatland High School in 2010 because he was mocked for his ethnicity, and the board did nothing about it. I'm sorry, I lost my spot. Back to Corinthia French, sorry. She said, everybody deals with racism, and it doesn't matter who you are. Right now, it's really toxic and open. Racism continues to permeate through our country, and though it has gotten better from over a century ago, it still exists in our communities, schools, and even our churches. In a school survey I took, every ethnicity I interviewed said they had something racist said against them or their families. At a local church, a black pastor said that the people in the congregation weren't sure about how he could lead them because their people worship differently. How can it, even in a church, a place where they constantly preach to treat your neighbor as equal to yourself, there can still be hints of discrimination and hatred? Every church has the same basic stance on racism. It's not right. The Orthodox Church said they consider everyone, regardless of race or ethnic background, to be created equal in the image and likeness of God, and fully deserving of every respect as children of God and his kingdom. The Catholics believe that we need to care for God's creation, which includes man, and that humans are a part of creation itself, and whatever we do to the earth and the people on the earth, we ultimately do to ourselves. The mainline Methodist Church stance says, we also encourage all individuals to be sensitive to others by using appropriate language when referring to all persons. Language of derogatory nature with regard to race, nationality, ethnic background, gender, sexuality, or physical differences does not reflect the value for one another and contradicts the gospel of Jesus Christ. The Evangelical Nazarene Church on Racism writes, in being reconciled to God, we believe that we are also reconciled to one another, loving each other as we have been loved by God, and forgiving each other as we have been forgiven by God. Where am I going with all this? Why did I decide to bring up all the pain from the past and of the present? It's because I have hope for the future. I come from a very mixed family. My little brother, who is half El Salvadorian, my little sister, who is 1/3 Korean and 1/3 African American, they have already had racist slurs thrown against them. My little sister just turned 3. And my little brother's 6. To quote Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. And to mimic his, it is a dream that we all see each other as equal and don't hate and we just love each other. But mine's a little more selfish. My dream is that I won't have to worry that my little brother and my little sister will receive racist slurs. That my little siblings' innocence and sense of equality will never be tainted with acts of discrimination against them. It is a steep request for this sinful, infested world. But when I look back at where we once were and what we once did to each other and where we are now, I definitely have hope that we can keep making strides forward in this seemingly never-ending battle. What can we do, though, as individuals? What can we do for our community? We can contact many websites that are on the pamphlet that my lovely assistants will be handing out and that are on the next slide. We can contact these organizations, we can donate to them, we can volunteer for them and help stand up against every discrimination and racist act we see. We can stand up against the jokes and against the slurs and against the put-downs. We can hope and pray that our message of equality and peace spreads. That we can stop turning our heads away from the prejudice that is happening in our very own country and bring it to light. and maybe we could let freedom ring. I'd like to end this presentation by showing one final video of two little boys who are not concerned about the colors of the other's skin, just about how much they love each other. Of two little boys we should all strive to be like, 100% loving and 100% blind to their differences.
I don't look at like Jackson.
5-year-olds Jackson and Reddy are as close as can be. That's why when it was time for Jax to get a haircut, he wanted his hair buzzed off like Reddy's hair is, so people wouldn't be able to tell them apart.
When I brought Jackson to school this morning, Reddy was already here and was actively convincing the entire class that he was Jackson.
While they are obviously different races, their parents say the boys don't pay too much attention to their differences, just how much fun they have together.
I honestly think the coolest thing about this story between Jax and Red is just that it's not that there was like an absence of difference, it's that the difference is visibly noticeable and they just don't care. That their friendship's so valuable, they just don't care.
These kids are setting an example everyone can learn from. For InsideEdition.com, I'm Mara Montalbano.
Thank you. Any questions?